The sister says, I would like to donate some of my breast milk to a center here that gives it to the needy babies. However, I have learned that if a baby drinks the breast milk of a woman, then the child becomes a mahram to my child. What is the wisdom behind this? Because many children can benefit from my breast milk. Yes, indeed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah An-Nisa mentioned in one ayah those who are permanently prohibited for a man to take in marriage. حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم وبناتكم وأخواتكم وعماتكم, the ayah. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala listed وأمهاتكم اللاتي أرضعنكم وأخواتكم من الرضاعة. This ayah made it very clear that who will be permanently prohibited for a person to marry forever. The mothers, the aunts, maternals or paternals, the sisters, the daughters. And he also mentioned أمهاتكم اللاتي أرضعنكم, the mothers who have breastfed you or suckled you the milk. وأخواتكم من الرضاعة, which means your brothers or sisters who have been suckled with you from the same mother, whether at the same time or on a long interval. Let me make it simpler. If a woman happened to breastfeed a child who is not related to her at all, then this child will be treated like her own baby, whether it's a boy or a girl. So if this woman happens to have a son and he grew up and he liked the girl whom his mother breastfed when she was a baby, at least 5 times, 5 separate times, complete breastfeeding, then he cannot marry her, because this girl who's breastfed by the same mother, by the same source, will be treated like a sister due to ar-rada', which is suckling. The effective cause behind the prohibition is the milk from the same mother, which produces the flesh and grows up the bones, and that's why they say خمس رضعات مشبعات. There are some views which says at least 2 times, but the more right view is at least 5 separate times. And I would call it a complete breastfeeding. I would count it as once. Whenever the child keeps sucking the milk until he or she is satisfied, then this is one complete time. If it happens on an interval of 5 separate times, then the child will be treated like your own child. So if the boy grows up, you don't have to put the hijab on before him. Why? Because he is like your son. If you are single due to divorce or being a widow, it will be permanently prohibited for this child to marry you or any of your daughters, because you are like a mother for him due to suckling, and all your daughters are like sisters for him, not like, actually they will be treated as sisters due to ar-rada'. Now, the milk bank idea is a great idea, but if we make it Sharia compliant, for instance, if the milk donors, they list their names in the system, in the computer system, as how many doses, how many times will be given to the child, and the child name will be written in the record, so in the future it will be known this particular child have been breast for more than 5 times by the milk of this woman. Why? Because this alaqa, this relationship of al-mahramiyya will be definitely established once the child is been fed from this milk for 5 times, whether directly by suckling the milk from the mother's breast, or by any other means, such as, for instance, using the breast pump and sucking the milk in a bottle and giving the milk separately to the baby, because the effective cause is the milk. In fact, there are some modern scholars lately who tried to consider that the effective cause of the prohibition is the motherhood and the milk, and they are not divisible nor inseparable from each other. They said, look at the ayah, it says, وَأُمَّهَاتُكُمُ اللَّاتِ أَرْضَعْنَكُمْ. So what will be considered a haram, will establish this relationship of al-mahramiyya, is if the mother breastfeeds the child during the age where he or she been breastfed, before the weaning age of course, directly from her breast. This is an opinion, but of course that opposes the opinion of all the scholars before and the vast majority of the scholars. And the proof is, if a woman is sick, for instance, and cannot directly breastfeed the child, so use any technical machine to get the milk and then feed it to the baby, it would serve the same purpose. So be careful when you donate that milk to a milk bank. If it is not a Sharia compliant, then be careful with that. You can give it to a particular child, and you would know that child has become a permanent mahram to you and to any of your children. This is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set it up in the Quran, and it is not something that we can go around it or change it or have a personal ijtihad or different opinion than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in this ayah of Surah An-Nisa. According to the Hanafi school of thought, the Maliki school of thought, the Shafi'i school of thought, the vast majority of the scholars, it doesn't matter whether the child has gotten the milk directly from the mother's breast, or it was poured in a bottle and he drank it from that. Except, of course, the school of Al-Zahiriyya, and I say that this is not really the best view in the light of the view of the vast majority of the scholars. Then 5 times will be enough, whether directly or from a bottle, to make the child a son or a daughter due to a rada' or suckling.